Clips, clips.
Oh, alrighty, YouTube's another one of Kip's Clips. So I was going to do a BeNEWSment on the UK column, but for whatever reason it looks like they may not be doing one today.
Clips, clips.
Kinda problematic. Oh, alrighty, YouTube's another one of... You shut up, you. In the afternoon, punk on whiskey. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. I'll have a wee whiskey on you. Stewie, Danny Jones in the afternoon, guys. And Andy. So bear with me. I'm just having to double check. Is the UK column cancelled their show today? Are they usually doing one a day right now? I don't know. 27th, 29th, 22nd. That's not. They're not doing one every day right now, are they? Anyway, well, I think I'll resort to plan B and go through yesterday's show. It's the only fucking plan B I've got. I done a wee bit of this yesterday, but hey ho. So let's get into this. Allows me to go and get my tea sorted as well. So in the afternoon, one and all, Stewie, Andy, Danny, whiskey. Get a wee share in.
Good afternoon, it's Monday the 8th of April 2019, just
Another man with no
Welcome
neck.
to UK Column News. I'm your host Mike Robinson, joining me.
I watched last night's roast back. I thought I went pretty well. I really enjoyed it, man. It was good actually getting Tommy Robinson fans in and relatively engaging to a certain extent. And hopefully, I need to stop doing that, pointing away from this microphone. In fact, I need to reorganise my desk so the microphone's coming for this way. Box smart, not hard. Anywho, I really enjoyed last night. I don't know about you guys and girls that did come and participate, but I really enjoyed it. So let's get into this while I sort my tea.
In the studio today, Patrick Henningson from 21st Century Wire. Welcome to the programme, Patrick.
Great to be with you, Mike.
Well, Patrick, free speech is over in the UK, it seems, because what are we talking about? The complete shutdown. This apparently, according to the government, is the first online safety laws of their kind. And they're coming in this white paper. It's not law yet. There's a 12-week consultancy period, but this is what the British government is going to pursue. Now, the question is, what is an online harm? The white paper is called Online Harm.
Well, the reason these people can't actually understand the common sense that may be in this, remember I don't know. Is there still people that are... Is the debate still on whether there is online propaganda? Is that still a debate? Is that still a question? I remember a sensible thing Mike Rivero once said to me. Well, not personally, but on his show. Propaganda only works when you don't realise it's propaganda. So when you think it's truth, or the UK column, just lovely English gents, but not one of them's English. Here to save merry old England, even though none of them are English. Anyway.
Harms. What is an online harm? Well, I'm going to cause one right now, because here's Theresa May.
Social media can be brilliant at connecting people across the world. But I'm deeply concerned that social media firms are still not doing enough to protect users from harmful content.
And why would they? They're all about making money.
So today, we're putting a legal duty of care on these companies to keep users safe. And if they fail to do so, tough punishments will be imposed. The era of social media firms regulating themselves is over. It's time to do things differently. It's time to keep our children safe.
So it's all about keeping our children safe.
Now, whatever brand of the radicalisation that you're fond of or criticise, whether it be the Allah Akbar nut bars or whether it be the fucking Knights Templar Crusader nut bars, there is no, to me, and you discern this yourselves, but to me it's beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no doubt there has been a concerted effort by lots of sides to radicalise people for their cause, whether it be Antifa, whether it be the right-wing morons, or whether it be your Allah Akbar nutbars, to name just a few. So to me, I'm the founding father of Estonia and all that, right? But this, I don't know. It's not that you're for censorship, but you can see how the government are going to... That's the way I can explain it. I can see how the government will justify this, whether you agree or disagree.
But as somebody in the chat box before we came on there said there, Patrick, this is Theresa May in full dictator mode. So let's have a look at what... Because this is the question.
Theresa May in dictator mode, right? Okay, pal. Doesn't really make sense, but hey-ho.
What do they mean by online harm? In the white paper, there's no particular definition of it. They list some online...
So in the white paper, they list what these online harms are, but there's no particular definition.
Harms, but they don't say what those are. So let's just run through these. A harm is child sexual exploitation and abuse online. Well, no.
Pretty self-explanatory, like Stephen Cowie from Political Gamers TV, if indeed that was a genuine dick pic that he sent to an underage guy. That's child sexual exploitation and abuse.
Nobody can argue about that, but we might argue what the British government has done about it over the years. They say that this white paper is going to solve this problem. Well, let's...
Right, so in 1 second they're saying the British government isn't doing enough to protect you from paedophilia. Then when the British government say, look, we're doing this to protect you from paedophilia, they say,
let's continue on the list. The next harm...
Again, I don't think I've explained this properly. A few people didn't grasp what I was trying to explain. The UK column are using the subject of child abuse as a political football for their cause. So indirectly, they're using child abuse. They're using it. They don't give a fuck. They don't care about Melanie Shaw. Anyway.
Is terrorist content online. That is to prevent terrorist content online.
That makes sense.
It's going to... they're concerned about content which is illegally uploaded from prisons, because apparently they're unable to control the internet connections in prisons, and so prisoners are pushing content
Have you not been watching the films, dickhead?
out online.
Does that mean that prisoners all have smartphones now?
Possibly.
A lot of them do, yeah.
So, wouldn't that be an easy problem to fix just by...
No, the same argument's been made for drugs for years.
Well, that might be an easy
Or is
problem.
that a violation of their rights?
No, it is an easy problem to fix. They're going to fix it by...
Dumb and Dumber here. Protect... Shut up, mumbles.
Yes, okay, so let's move on. The next harm they list is the sale of opioids online, because regulation's going to stop that.
Because you want to get it directly from the dealer themselves, the NHS.
And what constitutes cyberbullying? This is the big question.
Well, doxing people, threaten them with raids, sending underage people dick pics and all
self-harm
that.
and suicide, because regulating the internet is going to solve all the social problems that cause people to self-harm.
Nobody's saying it's going to solve them, but it's going to tackle problem websites. It's going to give the government regulation. It's going to give the government regulation to be able to shut down some of these pro-fucking anorexia and self-harm and fucking... Like, see somebody who's in that train of thought, the last thing you want them to do is fucking bounce around with another bunch of fucking self-harmers. That's just my opinion, but hey-ho.
Sexual imagery. Apparently, regulate...
Apparently what? Apparently what? The government shouldn't regulate that? Or you've got a problem with the government putting regulation in about that? What's up, Mike? You get a wee stash on your computer? Are you scared or something?
The internet's going to solve that too. But now we come to it, because here is what it's really all about. Online disinformation.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, okay, here we go. This is why your guys' butt hurts so much about this, because they know they're coming after you guys. Organised new disinformation networks, like the UK Column and its tentacles. Enar Crane, David Icke, and all their spawn, all their little gremlin spawns, all their rhyming repeaters.
Online manipulation.
Yep, like these guys. Like these guys right here. Like they're manipulating this topic of regulating the internet. Whether you agree or disagree, it's happening. Just like, whether, do you agree or disagree with the regulation of the press? I mean, people on Brian Harvey's case would say the press should have been heavily regulated so that Rupert Murdoch could have got his ass handed to him a lot easier. I mean, people need to get their shit straight before jumping into causes without even fucking thinking these things through. Or without even applying any rhyme, reason or logic to this shit.
Online abuse of public figures.
Criticism of public figures.
No, right, there's the manipulation, right? Read what it says on the screen, read what they said, this is what it says on the white paper. Harm, online abuse of public figures, right? Online disinformation, right? And then they go on to absolutely completely twist this. It's beautiful.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Online manipulation.
Like
Online
what they're just about.
abuse of public figures.
Criticism of public figures.
No
Abuse and criticism are separate. You're replacing one word for the other for it to sit your wee doom and gloom narrative, and that is the manipulation the previous harm was talking about. Fuck me. And then they go in with the killer and bring it back to child abuse. Just before you fucking know you've been banjoed by these fucking master manipulators, they bring it back to the children.
Of public figures.
Right.
So those are the harms. Well, let's see what kind of punishments they're talking about. They're talking about a statutory duty of care to make companies take more responsibility for the safety of their users. Now, this doesn't just apply to the big companies like Facebook, Google, and so on, and Twitter.
Does anybody think that these big, massive fucking social media should be regulated so that people can't kill themselves live online? Imagine, right, one of your relatives, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, whatever, fucking went poop, right, and they ended up fucking live streaming on YouTube and fucking hanging themselves and shit, right? No nice. I don't think that's cool. I mean, there you go. There's something else that fucking just on that basic level, I can understand.
This also applies to anybody that's running a blog, to anybody that's running a news website, anybody that's running forums, is accepting comments on articles and so on.
Oh, it's the end of comments. That's the meme that alt-right are running me in it.
They're going to require tech companies to ensure child abuse and terrorist content is not disseminated online. But it goes even further because they're talking about extremist content, what they consider extreme content. And as
what they, the Illuminati deep state. You shut up, you specky.
David Cameron mentioned in his 2015 speech to the UN General Assembly, that includes anybody that's questioning the government narrative on issues such as 7/7 or 9/11 or vaccine.
Tickle your conspiracy balls. 9/11, 7/7, vaccines.
There are a whole range of different issues. They're going to create a regulator which is going to have the power to force social media platforms and others to publish annual transparency reports on the amount of harmful content on their...
Well, the way that Facebook got caught with their pants down with Cambridge Analytica, I mean, are these things that people just fucking... This is when you know you're staying in a cult narrative, because you're blinkered. You're walking about with blinkers on. You're like a fucking horse getting led to something. Water or some shit.
Platforms.
I don't know, something a horse gets led to.
And what they're doing to address that.
A horse party. A race. A beach.
They're going to make companies respond to user complaints and act to address them. Practice are going to...
Oh, dearie me! We're going to make them respond to users' complaints. Fuck's sake, maybe you might get actually some customer service for fucking YouTube. Maybe little fucking greaseball bastards can't just fucking, through fake lawyers and shit, fucking get fake copyright notice takedowns and all that on your YouTube.
Quickly, they're going to create a code of practice issued by this new regulator, which could include measures such as requirements to minimise the spread of misleading and harmful disinformation.
Like the UK column.
With dedicated fact checkers, particularly during election periods. And they're going
But again, these guys can do Russia interfered in the election. Even though it's kind of much accepted, even like the Russian intellectuals are like, well, aye, we did, man. But hey ho, let's not forget about that. This has been discussed openly in jovial, gentlemanly spirits in Chatham House. I wish I kept a wee note of that clip.
to create this new safety by design framework to help companies incorporate online safety features in new apps and platforms from the start. So this is all really great stuff. But look, we've got to put this in a little bit of context.
But look, it's bad because we say so. Here's the manipulation that one of these harms was talking about.
Patrick, because we've got to put it in the context of Theresa May and her...
We've got to put it in the context of her, okay? We've got to. NPCs have got to do this.
Rapid response mechanism, because this is not about protecting children online. The government has done nothing to do that over the last couple of decades.
It's protecting their children about getting radicalised by fucking baldy bastards like you.
Kids, this is not their major concern. Their major concern is the control of the narrative. So this was Theresa May at the G7 in 2016, talking about a new rapid response mechanism. This is all about all G7 countries agreeing a common narrative, and they all pursue that common narrative together. But not to be confused with the rapid response mechanism is the rapid response unit in the Cabinet Office, and this is a group of civil servants that now have permanent funding. They ran it as a pilot for a year, but recently it was given permanent funding, and these group of civil servants are just simply trawling social media and looking at who is pushing narratives which are contrary to the government narrative. Okay.
Yeah, they're looking for agents, foreign agents, like the UK call them.
Okay. On top of that, we've got disinformation programs running from the Foreign Office. This is the latest iteration. We've shown this graphic before, but it's being run via, you know.
They do it, the UK column does it, even educated bees do it. Let's do it, let's troll the net.
At the end of the day, Mark Sedwill, who is
they do it,
head of the
we do it,
National Security Council.
Even educated bees with mousies do it. Let's do it. Let's troll the net.
Also head of the Civil Service, head of the Cabinet Office. And that, of course, leads us to programs like the Integrity Initiative. So, Patrick, we have a new string in the bow of what is a massive attack on free speech. On the
free speech, again, baldy bastards, alt-right hiding behind this free speech meme.
Ability to present a narrative which is contrary.
No, it's more about controlling the content published on platforms that go out to the masses. It's the exact same thing that's happened in time immemorial since the printing press, since radio, and since television. Fuck, these fucking old bastards must still fucking remember, like, pirate radio here in the UK. And what happened? How did they shut it down? They had to, like, make new laws to stop ships going out and broadcasting radio signals in and all that. They had to invent all forms of new laws and stuff to shut down the radio broadcasts because it all had to be controlled and regulated. Whether you agree with that or not, it's just the way fucking shit goes, man, since time. Not just fucking the last... It's not since 1984. It's not the last 10 years, 50 years. It's the last thousands of years. This is the way it's fucking went. People in power understand they need to control the flow of information. End of. And these motherfuckers are trying to... There's... What did I write down the other day? I think I've lost it now. Hopefully I'll find it for tonight. But it's like these people are part of a global movement, a global coup, trying to replace one ideology for another. It's fairly obvious
to
now.
the one which is given out by government. And okay, they can dress it up in the language of child abuse and in the language of prevention of sexualized images of young children online.
Cheech, that's a good point. It seems to be the advent of internet on the mobile phones that's increased its access to the windy lickers, doesn't it?
But this is not the reason for it. The reason is their concern over the narrative.
If it was only about protecting the children, then what we would be reading in this white paper, Mike, would be...
Now, imagine that this is what you could say about the UK column. If it was only about protecting the children, then they wouldn't be pretending to be independent journalists like all these fucking shills right here, while sitting behind a non-party affiliated political charity. The British Constitution Group.
Be specific to protecting children from indecent images and all abuse, pornography, and all of these sort of things that most people would agree are not good content for kids to be
That's to put it mildly.
Consuming.
Fucking pornographic images. That's not, most people would agree that's not good images.
But that's content. Not what's in here, Mike.
No.
This is a broad based agenda in here that's...
one of them's to, like, one of the harms was misinformation. And they haven't just said it's only to shut down paedophilia. They've said, quite categorically stated, one of the harms, one of the goals is to shut down operations like use.
Very arbitrary. The potential for abuse by the state here is tremendous. And it seems like a number of these things, Mike, when I'm looking down the list here, these are all things that potentially, anything in opposition to government policy that could fall under the heading of, let's say, national security. Look at what they've done for the last couple of years.
I'm no joking, man. That guy's fucking voice puts me to sleep.
They've hyped up a fake, essentially what is a hoax, that Russia interfered in the U.S. 2016 elections. And
See, to them that's still a hoax. They can't get their head round it. Because they didn't break the law. Because all they done was fucking propagandise American windy lickers with memes and shit. And they know that what happened, you know, they aren't stupid. These guys can tie their shoelaces, I'm sure, in between licking their windows.
The back of that, they were able to sort of leverage that sort of fake talking point since 2016 to make the same accusations about Brexit, about other elections in Europe, that somehow our elections are under threat, when in fact they're not. There's been no proof to show.
And there's been no proof because it's all like troll accounts and untraceable stuff, but it's been online information wars. If you can't see the rise of the right in Europe as well, the exact same thing that's happened in the States, the exact same thing that's happened in the UK is happening over in Europe, and these people are refusing to acknowledge it. As if it's just some sort of a made-up fucking excuse for the deep state Illuminati to regulate the internet. That's their narrative.
That's the case, but that features heavily in this document, Mike. And I have to ask, you know, what is the real agenda going forward? Because what was it considered not extreme in 2012? Think about this. All of a sudden is
now, here comes the does a tree make a noise in the woods if it falls and you're not there to hear it.
Now extreme in 2019. So what's going to be considered extreme in 2022? Do you see how the Overton window is shifting?
Absolutely.
You see how the same old memes pumped out by the alt-right shite to bamboozle people with bullshit, like that Overton window? Go and put that into YouTube. I might do that myself.
Constantly, and the government looks like they're trying to position themselves to have the power and the ability to pounce on any alternative narratives, information, anything that might be embarrassing to the state, anything that might be bad for the state when it's trying to sell its policies. So that's clearly what it looks like this is.
There's nothing in this white paper about the online harms caused by the mainstream media. So let's just look at an absolutely appalling article here. This is from the Daily Record. Calls for probe into Scots-based Infowars after they apologised to Jeremy Corbyn. Now, it is fair enough that the Integrity Initiative has now apologised to Jeremy Corbyn, but that's not the issue that I want to raise from this article. Because what you notice straight away from the headline is Scots-based Infowars. Scots-based, is it really? Well, it begins by saying Labour MSP makes fresh call for probe into Fife-based Black Ops group, but it's not Fife-based.
It's not.
It's London-based.
It's London-based.
And in fact, the fact that they're using a Fife address as the registered address with the Scottish Charity Regulator and the registered address with Companies House, the fact that it's doing that is illegal.
So is this disinformation that we're reading here?
Absolute.
So it's meant to protect Jeremy Corbyn or redress his grievance, but it's actually showing a bit of disinformation.
It's full of disinformation, and
I can't get my head round what these guys are on about. Not about the article, but the fact that the article's pointing at this entity using one of his other addresses rather than its main one in London, and it happens to be in Temple.
It goes on to say, leaders of the highly controversial Integrity Initiative, a registered Scottish charity, that's correct, said they had written to the Labour Party leader after personal attacks on Corbyn were retweeted on the unit's Twitter feed. The Fife-based group, so they repeated in the body of the text, the Fife-based group, which is publicly funded subsidiary of the Institute for Statecraft, apparently accused him of aiding Russia, probably unwittingly. But then they published this nice big image of Gateside Mills here, and the caption on the image is Gateside Mills in Fife, where the Integrity Initiative is based. It's not based in Gateside Mills in Fife, it's based in Temple in London.
And they know that because did they report on that, or was it?
Well, I don't know.
Is this misdirection? What the fuck's what's this got to do with the fact that there's been a misinformation group putting out shit about Jeremy Corbyn?
Initially, they had previously reported on the
I believe that's true. The Scottish,
so they would know
that the Scottish Daily Record did report on that at the time.
So they're obfuscating the Integrity Initiative, covering up their true nature,
absolutely,
their true location.
Absolutely, and at no point in this article do they mention the fact that the Scottish Charity Regulator has an ongoing investigation into the fact that Integrity Initiative was using Gateside Mills, a derelict building.
Maybe they're not talking about it because it's an ongoing investigation, just a stab in the dark.
As the registered address.
I have to say, Mike, I'm glad they picked the good view of Gateside Mills there.
It's a carefully framed image, isn't it?
They didn't go around the back, did they?
No.
Well, it's a carefully framed image. I'm assuming that would have been took by a photographer, maybe a professional one who worked for a paper. Just an idea.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But it doesn't end there, because you were rightly talking
Let's not stop the old men moaning about bullshit.
Russian collusion in elections and so on. Well, let me introduce you to Madagascar. Now, for anybody who doesn't know where Madagascar is,
it's in Disneyland.
There it is, the big arrow pointing to it. Well, the BBC have surpassed themselves.
Oh, right, so what have they done now?
They have absolutely
reported on another building collapsing before it collapsed.
Absolutely surpassed themselves, because did Russia meddle in the Madagascar election? This is a big video report on the BBC News website. A BBC investigation.
Right, and again, they're offering this up as if like it's beyond the realms of possibility that lovely old Russia would ever meddle in anybody's elections. Well, on the other hand, they're more than happy to entertain every conspiracy under the fucking sun. Every fucking bizarro claim about Western governments meddling all over the world. But the second you present any, just an idea that Russia might have, like even just fucking bought like 2 pence worth of adverts to maybe hopefully sway other elections in their favour. Oh no! Oh no! Are these people that stupid? Now you got to think about the people that are ball deep in the UK column cult. Think about all the people in the UK that fucking are more friendly towards Putin than any politician in the UK. Think that's by accident? God. And not that I'm any friendlier to UK politicians than Putin, they're just politicians.
Investigation has revealed that at least 6 candidates were offered money by Russians in the Madagascar elections. This is a massive geopolitical scoop that the BBC has picked up here, Pat.
Yeah, I wonder how much truth is actually in this report, Mike, because we've seen so many of these. Madagascar, of course, being coveted by all the great geopolitical powers. They don't have any.
Breaking news in. Waitrose apologised for racist chocolate ducklings after criticism. There's a brown one that's fucking crispy. Crispy, fluffy and ugly. But you get the ugly... Oh god, you can't even say ugly duckling now. God, you need to... What colour could you make a fucking chocolate duck that's an ugly one that isn't offensive? Is there a colour? Oh god. Oh lordy, 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 man. See, that's when you know that, I mean, that's Rupert Murdoch just stoking the flames of fucking race. That's just race baiting shit, innit? Who can't give a fuck about that shit? I'd be that. Wait, racism. Fucking free chop fucking. I'd eat the ugly one last though. I don't know, the ugly one doesn't look. It's got speckles through it and all that. So it's against. It's like a half caste. Fucking racist ducks.
Oil. There's no trees left, but they have an opioid epidemic and lots of coffee, I'm told.
Right.
So I guess they're in Putin's crosshairs.
Absolutely.
No, mate, we need to change the colour of chocolate brown. If it's brown, it's racist. You know, that reminds me of, like, this genuinely happened in my school, man. It's like, when was it? It's just as I was leaving, because I couldn't have reprogrammed myself, but they tried to get us to stop calling a blackboard a blackboard. You have to call it a chalkboard. Or they tried to replace it. You know, I don't think I heard anybody getting kicked out of school or anything, right? But they tried to replace it. I think nowadays it's whiteboards and fucking screens and all that shit, so don't need to worry about it. But the school's genuinely... And she sees to a young mind like that, where it's just a blackboard, you know? There's no fucking... And you're not even... You're so young that you've... The retardation of racism hasn't been shoved in your head yet. And then there's the schools are trying to stop you fucking saying blackboard because it's racist. You're like, what? Anyway, I digress.
Absolutely, absolutely. So none of that and many other examples that we could have given from today's news are dealt with by the white paper into online harms. And in fact, the issue of mainstream media and the online harm that is, it's an online disaster.
Right, okay, so you're willing to acknowledge that online media can do harm. Mainstream media, television, radio, media can do harm. And that's why that's why they get regulated by apparently independent bodies. You understand that, Tweedledum and Tweedledee here. You understand that, bozos, right? So why can't you comprehend the internet's the same? People are doing this. In fact, you guys are doing the exact same on the internet.
Is not covered by the paper.
Oh, hold on. I had Hazard's goal last night. It was amazing. And I think I just missed the replay.
At all. So perhaps if there's 12 weeks of consultation on this, people might like to make some suggestions about how this white paper could be amended.
Right.
Yeah, I think the first thing you can do, Mike, is come up with a list of fake news items that have been published or produced outright.
Chelsea beat West Ham
by The Guardian, by The Times.
You're ex-Guardian, mate. I'm sure.
By The Telegraph, by
Tommy Robinson on that now.
The Daily Mail, and the list goes on.
And yous guys as well.
Al Jazeera,
Yous guys.
the BBC,
Yous guys.
CNN, etc.
Yous guys.
Put those in the
UK column.
list. I have done my own list on this, Mike, and I'm at about 120 at the
Let me guess, the UK column and InfoWars aren't on it.
moment. This is just in the last 24 months.
'Cause they're
These are
real
major
journalists.
breaking stories that have been proved to be fake and fabrications. And you
What about all the fucking... Look, you guys just fucking couldn't get the fucking difference between criticism and abuse.
take that report and might as well sort of present that to the committee, I think, and ask them what are they going to do about all these corporate media outlets that are pushing disinformation on a daily basis. Are they going to...
Well, they have like independent watchdogs and all that. Remember about Rupert Murdoch get caught doing and fucking the attempt to try and put the shackles on that prick. So, like, if you're going to have any argument, it's that maybe if they are independent, the regulatory basis, the regulatory regulators of the press in the UK don't have enough power. And then now he's arguing about any regulations of the internet. Your logic doesn't stack up here, pal. You're taking people down twisted paths with an ultimate goal. Twisted paths because you know where the fucking destination is. It's a pre-fixed destination.
Did this factor into the calculus at all, the question?
So, slightly related is the issue of Julian Assange.
Yeah, and this is from another, look at this, independent, this is real journalism, 21st Century Wire, Patrick Henning saying ex-info whore.
What is
I used to know more about his background, forgot it.
the latest on this?
Well, this was a big story over the weekend. Quite a few people are probably already aware of this, but there was a high-level source within the Ecuadorian government that had contacted WikiLeaks on Thursday evening to notify them that Julian Assange would be forcibly removed from the Ecuadorian embassy in London within, quote, hours and days. And of course, once this news broke, Mike, the Julian Assange sort of support community, which is global, really sprung into action. And there was people camped outside the embassy. A 24-hour live stream was set up. Press were arriving. Also armed police as well, Mike, were arriving. And so the concern was that if he was turfed out onto the street, Mike, then...
Oh, Julian Assange, again, another independent journalist. Anyway.
The British authorities would apprehend Julian Assange on the 2010 arrest warrant for jumping bail. That was bail to face a hearing regarding extradition to Sweden on rape charges that have a case that's since been dropped in Sweden. But the British bail jumping warrant still stands, apparently, we're told anyway.
Right, I'm glad they got that down. Thank yous, guys. Actually, that whole 16 minutes and 39 seconds have been worth it now.
And then, of course, he would be rendered or extradited to the United States to face...
Remember, just like Alex Jones comes from you, from the heart of US military intelligence, UK column comes from you, from the heart of UK military intelligence, Plymouth. Just saying.
What anybody who has looked at this honestly can say is...
You know it, Flo. Julian Assange, he's a real stand-up independent journalist guy.
The kangaroo court, where he'd be tried under the 1917
See you later, cunty spice.
Espionage Act. Possibly a conspiracy to commit espionage with then Bradley Manning, now Chelsea Manning. So that was the fear, Mike, that he wouldn't receive due process in the United States. So Unity for J is the campaign that sprung into action here. And you can see their work on Facebook and on YouTube. They've run a 72-hour
Right, so let's see. These guys propagate a rumour about Julian Assange getting kicked out by the Ecuadorian authorities. I don't think it's been confirmed through any official channels. And then all of a sudden, Julian Assange is back all over the independent media. Now, to come to think about it, the first time I heard about it was a Rutley clip of the British cops checking... Somehow, for some reason, there were tents, that's what they call these things, tents outside the embassy, and the cops are going round checking the cars. But let's see, is this just bullshit to get a wee bit of eyes on the prize? So what's the prize, this stuff?
Stopped live stream with dozens of commentators, Mike, from around the world, journalists, academics, former government agent, operatives, intelligence analysts, politicians, all people who support this issue of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. And why is this important, Mike? This is absolutely crucial, this issue, because what's at stake here is the whole concept of freedom of the press, the ability for a publisher to publish.
So yous are still going with the narrative that Julian Assange is an independent journalist, okay? For you guys are funny. Does this make me stand up?
Or leaker to leak and then give to a publisher, be it a newspaper or WikiLeaks, to publish classified information in the public interest. So that's exactly what's under threat here. And this is what the current administration in the U.S. is trying to basically clamp down on, people believe. But this isn't just a Trump issue. This goes right back through to the Obama administration as well. So this is the big fear, Mike.
So it's not Trump's fault, it's Obama's fault, right? Got it? Good.
And that leads us to an interesting story that cropped up over the weekend.
That leads us to another interesting story. Let's move on to, let's see how this caveats with the other one.
What is
more fear about brown people in boats?
media freedom? Well,
oh, it's freedom of speech shit. I thought that horse was dead now, but hey ho, let's keep flogging it.
it was a little bit of a celebration, Mike, led by
Think there's a few more candy bars to fall out for the window lickers if we keep flogging this dead horse.
none other than Jeremy Hunt, who, this is an article up on
Oh, look, another article from this is good press as opposed to bad press, and it's just a coincidence that the independent journalist reading this is actually the editor of 21st Century Wire. Just a coincidence.
21st Century Wire by Nina Cross. What's behind Jeremy Hunt's choice of Amal Clooney as the UK?
It's amazing how they do this. They name their own shit different names, and then they become independent, even though they're part of the same clique, on the same show, on the same network, saying the same shit again and again and again.
His new media.
Oh, hold on. Breaking news just then. Clips is the best man in the world, says an article written by Clips. But just a coincidence, it is a real journalism, as we all know.
Media freedom and
Can't you see the font I used in the headline?
ambassador. So what
Culture, and look.
is media freedom? This is a new initiative that's being championed by the British government. And of course, George Clooney's wife, human rights lawyer, she's the person who's been chosen to sort of front this campaign. But what's interesting, Mike, and what
What's
also
interesting,
comes
there's
up
no
in,
agenda show
Nina's
was talking
article
about this exact
is that,
thing.
Amal Clooney
It's
used to
amazing how
represent
all these
Julian
independent
Assange,
journalists talk
not
about the same
just
stuff.
a few years ago. And Julian Assange is not mentioned, neither is WikiLeaks in any of the speeches or any of the press releases here for this weekend, as this major story is breaking, Mike. So Assange and WikiLeaks have been airbrushed out of the picture in terms of this conversation about media freedom. You can't get a more stark example of complete ignorance or just total obfuscation
Or they've cut out the Russian agent, okay?
on the part of the
The Israeli one, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the far-right fucking agent. It seems to be, well, why? He seems to just fucking mobilise the far-right in every fucking windy-looking country, doesn't he?
state and
Thank you, Assange, you independent journalist, you.
this new so-called ambassador for media freedom. So we're meant to believe, Mike, that the press are under threat, but it's in third world countries. It's in places like Myanmar and Syria and Venezuela and Russia. Ching, ching, any hints going on here? No problems with press freedom in the West. It's not anything we need to focus on. It's all about the poor people in the developing world. We need to protect them from their evil dictators.
Well, so this is the narrative, whereas in reality they are
Fuck protecting those poor cunts for fucking evil dictators, fucking wallopers.
Absolutely focusing on press freedom in the sense that they want to shut down any competition against the utterly controlled mainstream press in the UK. And just to
They kind of want to shut down like fat fucking reprobates like you guys. Yeah, yous are full of shite. Yous are yous are causing the harms that this white paper earlier on that you pointed out was talking about. You're manipulating shit.
close this section off then.
Yo, Henningsen, like that wee bit of that. You get some of Sanji's spunk just to the side of your mouth here, monotone ranger.
Said at the beginning, this business will affect not just the big social media companies. It'll affect the likes of us. It'll affect individual bloggers, anybody with comments. And the threat is that this...
Don't worry, you will still have ukcolumn.com or whatever it is.
This legislation will cause...
Tune in tonight, by the way. I've got a brilliant bit of Dangerfield admitting that he the reason they need these platforms to propagandise, to spread their message. They need these platforms to be able to propagandise new fucking idiots. They're admitting it.
Google to remove people from search engine results. They're fine.
They've done already.
They're doing that already, but
Yeah.
but this will be given the force of law then, so that's an extra dimension to that, or they will be censored by the internet service providers. Now we've already got this in the UK. Many people don't know this, but in the UK we have a firewall amongst not so many. Some of the
So what's the problem then?
small internet service providers aren't part of it, but the likes of BT or Sky, TalkTalk, these types of scale of internet service providers already block certain websites, particularly file sharing websites and so on.
Yeah, commercial interests.
But now we're going to create a list of people that are doing online harms. So the government, I recommend this article.
I'm not going to create a list. They're creating regulation to try and put fucking more pressure on service providers to stop the shit happening.
If people want to understand the hypocrisy of the UK government by pursuing this media.
Go and print off flyers and stand round the high streets fucking handing out flyers. There's your freedom of speech, pal.
Media freedom.
A bakery shouldn't have to be forced to bake a gay cake, and Facebook shouldn't have to be forced to let you spew your shite on it, and that goes for every other platform out there.
Meme on one hand, and on the other hand,
Catch you after Flow. Have a good afternoon, my man.
absolutely shutting down freedom of speech in this country.
And doing it very quietly and in a stealth way.
Yes.
In a sort of technocratic way.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, look, we will be talking a bit more about this on the Extra Time segment, and of course that's available to supporters of the UK Column and supporters of 21 Wire. So if you want to support the UK Column, you can do that at ukcolumn.org/community. Join us there, and you will get access to the Extra Time segment of the UK Column news. And also, if you want to.
So the UK Column also have their own firewall or paywall or what have you.
Support via 21st Century Wire, you can do that at 21wire.tv. Okay, now,
I
good
didn't know
news,
the comments
Patrick,
were
good
on
news. The Mirror, the Sunday
Bit of
Mirror,
trolling.
managed to get Charlie Rowley a visit to the Russian ambassador's residence, the Russian embassy. So the headline on the Mirror here, this is an exclusive to the Mirror. Novichok victim Charlie Rowley asks Putin man, did you kill my girlfriend? Now, for those that don't remember, Charlie Rowley was one of the two civilians, in inverted commas, that were allegedly poisoned by Novichok subsequent to the Skripal poisoning. So what's the Mirror saying? They arranged for Charlie Rowley to visit the Russian embassy. They say, poisoned Charlie Rowley was yesterday told by Vladimir Putin's man in London that Russia wasn't behind the Novichok attacks in Salisbury because people survived. People survived, Patrick, and therefore it couldn't have been the Russians, is how the Mirror is spinning this. Charlie said Ambassador Alexander Yakovenko told him Russian Novichok would have killed everyone. Now, Charlie Rowley says that, of course, it killed his girlfriend, but he says that he washed his hands.
It's amazing how independent news outfit who are really a political party, non-party affiliated political charity, but pretend to be independent journalists, who focus a lot of their stuff around nationalistic rhetoric to rabble-rouse the masses in the UK, constantly return back to pro-Putin and pro-Russia narratives around stories. I don't know what happened in this fucking dog and pony show. Fuck knows, it's bizarro land, innit? Chemical weapons attacks or whatever it was on the streets. Maybe it was all a hoax. Woo! But it's time and 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 time again. You've got RT and the alternative media on the saying this, giving this narrative, and you've got the mainstream media giving this narrative. As usual, the truth usually lies in the middle somewhere, but we'll never know unless you're privy to that information. But it's for me, beyond a reasonable doubt and undeniable that fucking UK column just sucks Putin's bobby, to put it technically.
He had it all over his hands, but it didn't kill him.
Well, but the Russians' position is that Novichok is a lethal nerve agent. That's our position as well. It's a lethal nerve agent, and basically, if it had been Novichok was the cause of this, anybody that touched it would have died. Now, of course, that goes against UK government advice, because the Chief Medical Officer, Dame Sally Davies, said at the time, my advice for any individual is to wash your clothes, wipe down any personal items, shoes and bags with cleansing or baby wipes before disposing of them in the usual way. So there's a definite disparity here between the British government's position and the Russians' position, and I think anybody with any common sense's position that a nerve agent such as Novichok.
We'll go with our version, which is the Russian version. So go with our version, and if you don't go with our version, you haven't got common sense. And look at me sitting in my fucking shiny studio. I'm so fucking cool.
Could not be dealt with baby wipes.
Baby wipes.
Oh my god, they've genuinely got sheep in the background. That's beautiful. Oh god, I just seen a... Let's replay the Doom. Why does that do that? I don't know.
Anybody with any common sense's position that a
watch
nerve
this,
agent
UFO in
such
the
as
background.
Novichok could not be dealt with baby wipes.
Baby wipes.
But
They've
anyway,
genuinely get
Charlie
sheep.
Rowley,
There's our
was
fucking
given
cult
some
in the
history
background, man.
in the embassy and so on. Well, he had this to say at the end of it. The ambassador kept saying the substance definitely wasn't the Novichok they had made, because it would have killed everyone. He said, I liked the ambassador, but thought some of what he said, trying to justify Russia not being responsible, was ridiculous. The ambassador kept saying the substance definitely wasn't Novichok. And he said Russia only have small amounts of Novichok because they use it as an antidote and don't produce it anymore. He said the only countries that produce it now are the Czech Republic and America. I asked if he really thought Britain had carried out the attack. He said he didn't know because the British government wouldn't tell him anything. But America is the only place he thinks Novichok could have come from. He said Port and Down have it as well. So that's what happened there. The Russians tweeted out some nice images of them sitting having tea and so on, having some photographs taken.
So there we go. There's UK column openly propagating Russian PR propaganda pictures. There we go. Nobody even questions it. Oh, look at the Russian hugging a baby. Oh, Putin so sexy riding that horse. Let me lick your nipples, Putin.
Is the issue. Salisbury, unanswered questions. A couple of reports for Charlie and his brother who went with him, with a whole host of questions. And the list of questions that the Russians have is on the Russian embassy website. But I have one question which still hasn't been answered, Patrick. And that is,
where did your neck go to?
Where are the Skripals?
Ah, it's close.
Is the big question, Mike.
It's close.
Missing persons, APB, all points bulletin. Where are
Missy's
the Skripals?
missing
Has
neck.
anybody seen them?
Mike's neck hasn't been seen since
why
birth.
isn't Yulia Skripal allowed to return to Russia?
Rumours.
Why not
Flying.
Sergei Skripal as well, for that matter?
Yeah.
In the afternoon, Catherine.
no
I'm going to
one's
shorten
had
it to
any
cat,
access
so I
to
don't
them.
need to spell
You just have to
Catherine.
take the media's word,
Seen Alan doing that.
and they're getting their sort of statement directly piped in from the government saying that what is the latest anyway on Sergei Skripal, that he's in witness protection program?
We don't know.
I heard something to that effect. That they possibly overseas even. They might even be in Canada.
If you were ever going to do a remake of Shooting Stars, I would cast Mike Robson as the baby and the drums.
Canada by now, under an assumed identity or something like that. So, very strange, Mike. Very strange.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Libya, Patrick.
Well, Libya is back in the news. So just when you thought things had stabilized in the Middle East, this is in North Africa. It's heating up in the Maghreb. You'll see a number of stories like this, calling it a crisis, calling it a civil war. What's happening now?
But of course, that's not what's happening. We're going to tell you what's happening.
Is there are forces led by the 75-year-old Khalifa Haftar that are now converging on Tripoli, Mike. We don't have a Libyan map for you today, but you can go ahead and look it up. This is an east versus west, essentially battle within Libya. And Haftar's forces are basically looking to supplant the UN-backed government. There's been a UN-approved government that's been installed in Tripoli since 2016.
And even unfunnier, Matt Lucas. That's the guy's name I was looking for. I'm all good, cat. Hope you're well.
Government of choice that has been in control of what has essentially been a failed state, Mike.
Since we blew it to bits.
Since we blew it to bits, since NATO.
What were you two doing over in fucking... Yous are more Russian than NATO, you fat plums. What are you talking about?
Britain and France, is that right?
Well, Britain, France, and Norway did. Norway did an incredible amount of sorties. That's the most practice in terms of bombing and killing Norway's ever had. So there was a few people that were allowed to get their hands dirty, let's say, in that operation. But so a failed state basically in Libya, and basically, I might add also, Mike.
I always love it when these independent journalists really bamboozle you with their vocabulary, you know? You can tell they've spent all day looking through thesauruses, making sure that they use the full spectrum of this language. Basically deep state Illuminati takeover. Basically, my neck ran away and I couldn't catch it. Basically, I grew up wanting to be Elvis, and then I got into heavy metal. I couldn't get girls by playing the bass, so I became a fucking want to be hipster activist and then get recruited into the alt-right Elvis lookalike cult.
There was a UN Security Council resolution.
That's the Monotone Ranger, if you can't
which
tell.
was they tried led by the US and led by the European countries. They tried to push through to basically sanction Haftar, this warlord, coming from Benghazi, and it was blocked by Russia. Of course, it got.
I love it when they just call the warlords. No explanation. Basically, he's a warlord. Right. So, like, did you just who bestowed this title on him? Is it like He-Man's title? You know, like a Master of the Universe? Is it an official title? Did he get a wee knighting or something? Can I get a wee bit further explanation? Is this guy part of Gaddafi's old clique? Is it like I don't know? Like, because this is like cutting edge independent journalism here in the UK, and we all know journalism do their fucking the journalists do their shit. That's why I'm a journalist, you know. No doubt. And yeah. No, don't question that shit. Just these guys are journalists. Did you not see his website? He's got a website where he puts stories on. That makes him a journalist, don't you know? And obviously, the 21st Century Wire is independent from the UK column. Complete different editorial stance. It's just a coincidence that they all back up each other's shite and make it just one big echo chamber. But anyway, let's get on. I love his sideburns and man bun. Mate, Patrick Henning said, do you not know that you don't look like a Japanese samurai warrior, you look like a soccer mum? And the soccer mum thing gives away the fucking... It's an American meme I seen.
The veto.
So is he Russian back then?
No, well, that's the
Like
way
yous
the
guys.
narrative's going. They're going to try to frame Haftar as being backed by the Russians.
Oh, right. So basically, Haftar is the Russian gimp in that fight. Because remember, Russia doesn't do that sort of a stuff. Everybody else in the world does. Everybody does. Everybody's bad and corrupt and does that shit. Foreign policy, spies, Benghazi, drones, Hillary Clinton. But Russia, Putin, no. Not in UK column, fifth column land.
The reason Russia had issued a veto on this UN Security Council resolution is because they didn't believe that it was right for the European countries to intervene again in Libya.
Right.
And mind you, this is the same Russia that abstained from the UN vote back in 2011 for resolution 1973, I believe.
And Russia would never, ever, like the Western powers, ever try and monopolise on a power vacuum somewhere in the world. Russia would never do that. So if anybody ever suggests that to you, remember the UK column and RT. Oh, hold on. Oh, look at this, right? Let's do a wee experiment. Oh. Let's go to this. Let's see, right, how far we go. Oh, today, funnily enough. Oh, wow. Oh, dear me. Imagine my shock and surprise. Right, so... I mean, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that the UK, which stands for the United Kingdom, I'm sure, meant to, column is now giving you the exact same news stories as Russia Today. Haftar's March. So there we go. Haftar's. There's a funny name in there and I just can't put my lips on it yet. March on NATO-ravaged capital of Libya. What is the capital of Libya? God, I'm usually not too bad. Tripoli. Aye, there we go. Oh, fucking pirate country. How could I forget? Aye, cool. Haftar. Same picture in both. 8th. I'm sure I opened up both the different ones, but obviously not. Right, so, and again, Russia wouldn't try and, like, capitalise on a power vacuum in there. No. Look at these baldy bastards. Would they lie to you?
Which was the no-fly zone. That's when Medvedev was president. Okay, right. So understandable. So this is actually getting really interesting here, because.
Oh, cool! Yeah, let's get our popcorn out. How many people are going to die?
You asked who's backing Haftar, Mike. Not the Russians. Okay, France has been a little bit on the fence. And there are accusations that France has some colonial designs in Libya and is kind of possibly has some interests that are diverging with Brussels.
Now, let's say Haftar is indeed a Russian, or backed by the Russians, right? I don't know. How the fuck do I know? I'm not in Libya. I don't know fucking what's going on down there. But let's just say there is a possibility that Haftar sounds like something out of fucking Lord of the Rings. Haftar is Russian. So if you were sitting there and the veil was starting to slip that Russia's making a play for some ground in Libya, then through your proxy and false information sites like the UK column and stuff, you would then start drip feeding false stories Haftar isn't backed by the Russians. He's a deep state Illuminati operative backed by Hillary Clinton's Benghazi fallout drone style. Let's see if they shout Benghazi at any point. Oh man, I haven't watched this, but see if they shout Benghazi. I'll be surprised.
And I don't know if where Italy stands either, but I also think that Italy, there are some potentially things that could benefit Italy with regards to a new government or an overthrow, a regime change right now in Tripoli. So we're not sure, but definitely France seems to be playing it on the margins, Mike. And so the UK is kind of putting a little bit of diplomatic pressure on the French, saying what's going on. But hey, the good news is oil is up because of the tensions, so that's always good, even though there's no real big threat.
Wow, man, they really are literally just fucking like reading from RT. It's that pathetic. It's like Mike Rivero sitting there fucking in Hawaii pretending he's an American, and he's sitting up there with RT, Russian Insider, just fucking rhyming and repeating all their shite in an American accent. It's that simple, a parlour trick.
To the global supply of oil, the markets have seen this as an excuse, or the black box trading bots have seen this as an excuse to sort of jack up the price of oil temporarily anyway. But, you know, in terms of the potential of Libya, yes, there's $80 billion, Mike, of oil revenue and foreign currency reserves. And so who gets control of that? Is that going to be a UN, EU-backed administration in Libya, or is it going to be the government which would come into power, a national unity government that comes in after Khalifa Haftar? And who's lingering in the background of all this, Mike? The son of Muammar Gaddafi, Saif al-Islam, is lingering in the background. And guess what? He does have a fairly broad...
He does have Islam in his name.
Broad-based support network. And so if he ran for president, if there were elections, if there was a civil war right now and things ended and then there were new elections, he would be a viable candidate for president of Libya. And you have to think about the implications of that. So, what kind of president would he be? Would he be pro-Western or not? This would be a big question. So this is getting very interesting in Libya, and also ISIS, Mike, has also reared their ugly head and will probably continue to do so. Certainly that would give the U.S. an excuse.
Mike just always looks like he's thinking about food, doesn't he?
To sort of redeploy, because they did pull their troops out this week. They said it's not safe for U.S. troops in Libya. That's interesting. So maybe they're just...
I don't even know if he can look down and look at his dick, never mind see
reorganizing
it,
their position, as it were, to intervene again in the future. So keep all your eyes on Libya, and we'll try to keep an eye on that story as well.
Okay, and what about Israel then?
Okay, alrighty, UK nationalists in the UK column, hear that? Brexit? Fuck Brexit right now, like all eyes on Libya. You should care about what's happening in Libya, because it's not Russia's man, Ishtar, that it looks like the West are going to try and batter their cunt in again.
What's going on?
Well, this is where the real action is right now. Yes, I believe April 9th for the polls, that would be like tomorrow, or yes, tomorrow, right? Yes. So yeah, Israeli elections are coming up. This is huge, Mike. This is huge, because it's not just Israeli elections.
Listen to the excitement in his voice. This is huge, mate. Huge. That's what they all say. Monotone Ranger.
That are at stake here. It's not just the political survival of Benjamin Netanyahu. This is about the political survival as well of Donald Trump, and more specifically, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's cooking up the deal of the century, okay? So what's happening in the run-up to this election? Let's have a look. Now, I would be a little bit worried, Mike, because a lot of stuff has been going on in the last couple of months.
She bring up a really good point. RT does have a lot of independent YouTubers on, right? And it's the exact same tactic that the CIA and other Western intelligence agencies use. Since the Americans get rid of the Smith-Mundt Act, what they do is the CIA will open up a fraudulent news organisation. Let's call them... Oh, I had it in my mind there. What the fuck was that? forget the name of the CIA outfit that broadcasts into Europe, Eastern Europe. Anyway, it's called them notthecia.com, right? So they set up a wee fraudulent fucking news organisation. The CIA then tells we're not the CIA.com what to publish. They publish that, then the CIA go, well look, we've got evidence of this, and then can spew that shit out to their own citizens, propagandising them. And it doesn't look like propaganda because all they're doing is reporting on news stories. And that's what RT does. But RT's done it differently in the sense that they've propagandised windy lickers on YouTube to then propagate their shite. And then fucking independent morons, or so-called independent morons, rhyme and repeat their shit. They're like, oh, get that independent guy on. That makes it look like that message is independent, when it's just an echo chamber of us. Or it fits our narrative anyway, so get him on. Anyway.
With Netanyahu, he's up for corruption charges. He might just win out on this, or this might be pushed onto the other side of the election if he wins. If he can tough it out, what's he done? He has declared the Israeli ownership of the Golan Heights, of Syria's Golan Heights, against all UN resolutions, international law. He's passed the Israeli ethno-national laws that basically are creating Arabs as second-class citizens. They've already moved the embassy in Jerusalem. But just in the last couple of weeks, Mike.
And it's a win. The extreme right wins in Israel. Israel wins. The left managed to get nut job out in Israel. Israel win.
To pander to the far right coalition that he's stitched together, he's gone for land grabs in the Golan, and now look, the West Bank, annexing the West Bank. So he's crossed that red line now. This is how.
This is weird. He's now got the political capital to do this because of Trump. The guy that he's were defending earlier on in the broadcast. You haven't got your fucking ducks in a line.
Desperate Benjamin Netanyahu is to stay in power. What else? Well, the reaction from the rest of the Arab world in the Middle East, Turkey being a major player in the Middle East, they've said absolutely no. The West Bank belongs to the Palestinians. So again, and this is going to create more splits between NATO and Turkey, and of course the Trump administration and Turkey. They're already on the rocks over the S-400 orders versus the F-35 orders, so the military contracting wars there. This is only going to create more fissures politically here. So let's look at how this is going to feed into the next part of the story, Mike. So we have to look at this in the context as well of the U.S. political system, okay? So what's happening in terms of the U.S. election right now? You have Trump, who's got all of his chips stacked on Benjamin Netanyahu. Basically, the whole Donald Trump Middle East agenda is really predicated on his close relationship between himself, Benjamin Netanyahu, and also Jared Kushner and Netanyahu, okay? So whatever Netanyahu wants, he gets from the United States. Netanyahu is also campaigning on that. In Israel, he's saying, I'm so tight with the Trump administration, I've delivered you the embassy in Jerusalem, I've delivered you the Golan Heights, I'm going to deliver you the West Bank. So the hard right, the ethno-nationalist, really extreme National Front Jewish organizations that he's allied with to try to get a coalition together to win this election, okay? They love this, okay? So he's pandering to that common denominator, which is...
What do you mean he's pandering to them? He's exactly the fucking same numbnuts. The exact same as the organisation office that you're sitting in here, fucking spewing in this country as well. Fucking nationalism. These cunts are fucking unreal.
The far right in Israel. So how is this affecting the U.S. political system? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. The 2020 elections. Let's look at the Democratic side, Mike. And what's going on the Democratic side? Well, it's about Beto's balls. So Beto's balls.
You need to learn how to use fucking PowerPoint a bit better.
And we're not talking about...
You've cut a wee bit of Beto's balls off. I bet you Beto isn't fucking happy about that. You've cut a wee bit of his top... Fucking cut a top bit of his top ball off, man. You can't cut somebody's fucking balls off, man. That's fucking no good. Fucking sick bastards.
Well, we're talking about the Zen balls, Mike. So the Zen of Beto O'Rourke. And let's look at what Beto said here. Let's take a look at that. Okay, Beto O'Rourke basically saying that the U.S.-Israeli relationship, if it's to be successful, must transcend partisanship in the United States and must transcend a prime minister who's racist. He's come out of the gates, Mike, this week and called Benjamin Netanyahu a racist.
That's a brave thing to do in the United States.
That's a ballsy thing to do. Hence, the name of the segment is Beto's Balls. So that's a brave thing to do, absolutely.
I thought you were talking about fucking those balls.
There's going to be a potential backlash for O'Rourke. He is making a major calculated move here, basically, because, and we'll explain why in a minute, but this is a ballsy move. Or is it, Mike? Or is this a ballsy move? Because Beto O'Rourke has received a lot of money from the Israeli lobby over the years. So the question is this portending another outcome for the Israeli election? Maybe an upset? Maybe Netanyahu's out? But I don't think so, because I see other far-right candidates vying for power in Israel too. So let's take a look at what he said. He said the U.S. relationship is one of the most important relationships that we have on the planet, and that relationship, if it's to be successful, must transcend partisanship in the United States, and it must be able to transcend a prime minister, he's talking about Netanyahu, who is racist, okay, as he warns against Arabs coming to the polls. So O'Rourke is not wrong there, Mike. He's not wrong. So what is he doing? Let's take a look at what he says after this. Who wants to defy any prospect for peace as he threatens, he's talking about Netanyahu again, to annex the West Bank, and who has sided with a far-right racist party. He's talking about the Otzma Yehudite party, the far-right Israeli Front. So in order to maintain his hold on power, these are all the things that we outlined earlier, Mike. So, but he's not finished. He says we must be able to transcend Netanyahu's current leadership to make sure that our alliance is strong and that we will continue to push and settle for nothing less than, here we go, a two-state solution. So now it's revealed, because that is the best opportunity for peace for the people of Israel and the people of Palestine, Mike. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of this, because according to any analyst that you talk to right now, the two-state solution, Mike, is dead. It's DOA, it's dead on arrival, it's long gone, okay, but somehow it still has a hold in the U.S. conversation.
But it's something which is brought up every once in a while in order to defuse any argument over Israel-Palestine. Oh, well, we've got this two-state solution. This is what we're going for. We can criticize Israel all we like because we're aiming for the two-state solution. Actually, Israel doesn't mind the criticism too much, so long as it's put in the context of the two-state solution, and they just get on doing what they're doing.
So that's what a lot of people think, that Beto is hedging his bets here. So he hasn't really upset the Israeli lobby as long as he keeps pushing the two-state solution, which is going nowhere, basically. It's a total lemon, basically. So that's what a lot of people are saying. So now, but you also have to look at this. Now let's look at this in the context of Donald Trump and Jared Kushner. Trump and Kushner were supposed to release what they call the deal of the century, okay? They've been pushing it back, it's been over a year now. This was supposed to be unveiled. This was the great deal of the century being masterminded by the wonderkind Jared Kushner, the son-in-law, the president-in-law of the United States, okay? So, and here they...
Let me see if he can see this. I don't know if he can see this. So this is me on Tommy Robinson page. TR News, American journalists, fucking... don't even know what it's about, but he keeps scrolling down. Can you help us? Donate here. Lowest one's £5, fuck's sake. Anyway, after the UK column, I might go through some of the Tommy Robinson stuff.
They are, Mike, and there's Kushner in the background, looking very much like Damien an older Damien, but there's Trump and Netanyahu. So this is all about Netanyahu. So they pushed the plan back now to after the Israeli elections. So O'Rourke is using this, I believe. He has kind of an idea of what's in the Kushner deal. So he's already positioning himself to win some of the sort of the millennial support. That you realize is there's a pro-BDS voting bloc out there. He wants to capture these votes, these centrist Democrat votes. These are sort of more pro-Palestinian than the Hillary crowd, basically.
Right.
Younger people. So, but what is the deal of the century, Mike? It's probably more like this. This is sort of a dud 80s film starring Chevy Chase. This is more like, I think, the deal that's coming, okay? The deal of the century is going to be like a bad DVD from the 80s. And I'll explain to you why. People say, how can you
Oh, please, this is a great analogy.
say that? You haven't seen the deal yet. And my answer is this, Mike. We don't need to see the deal
We don't need to, I'm just making it up as I go along.
because the deal's already done. The deal has already been unrolled over the last 12 months. U.S. moving its embassy to Jerusalem.
And this has all been facilitated by the guy that you helped get elected with your online propaganda, Donald Trump. And now he's just standing up there going, oh gee golly gosh, Batman, don't know how this happened, man. Trying to keep your fucking, try to keep your mobilised, try to make sure you don't lose the loyalty of the people who you have indoctrinated, that have sympathies for the Palestinian cause.
The U.S. recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's
This is them damage control.
capital. The U.S. calls for Israel's annexation of Syria's
Help get Donald Trump elected. Then bitch and moan about the stuff Donald Trump puts in place. Doesn't make sense. It's damage control to try and keep your loyalty.
Golan Heights, and Israel announces annexation of Palestine's West Bank. So that's the deal of the century, okay? It's already done. So they've been so clever to sort of push this down the road, and then meanwhile getting all of the hardline objectives that they've wanted over this period. So the deal of the century, my friends, is going to be a bad deal for the Palestinians. I can't imagine what's going to be unveiled by the great Jared Kushner that's going to sort of undo all the bad will and lost ground and land and everything and rights and so forth by the Palestinians. This seems to me one of the biggest scams ever. So I'm getting ahead of the story a little bit, but I'm just guessing this is going to be a massive dud. So
Okay.
If it's ever revealed, I'm waiting. Could be next week, could be next year, could be after the 2020 elections. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. Well, look, let's end on Brexit today. Well, we're going to commit another internet harm now, so I will warn everybody of that.
Well, you've already manipulated lots of stories, so you've done a lot of them today. That's why they'll be shutting you down. That's why the government's going to shut you down.
Straight away.
Over the last few days, people have been asking me what on earth's happening with Brexit. And I can understand that because, after all, it's nearly 3 years since people voted in the referendum for the UK to leave the European Union. Well, where we're at is that the government negotiated a deal with the EU, and my preference was for that deal to be passed by Parliament, and we could leave with the EU on that basis. But Parliament's now rejected that deal 3 times, and right now, as things stand, I can't see them accepting it. But at the same time, Parliament has also said that they don't want us to leave without a deal, with no deal.
Just making up some details to get into Tommy Robinson's Telegraph Hub. I won't tell you my name, just in case. Oh, there we go. To check my email for verification.
Indeed, this very week, Parliament's been legislating to block no deal. So the choice that lies ahead of us is either leaving the European Union with a deal or not leaving at all. Now, I think the government...
Now, I think... I can show you this. I think I'm going to have to start up a new folder. See here, I've got AJ Spam. This is Alex Jones and all the spam I get for Alex Jones. I keep it bagged and tagged, so it's like periodically I'll do a Alex Jones spam video and just show you how much shite this guy just tries to bombard you. And what happens when you get put on these people's mailing list. I'm now going to be on Tommy Robinson's mailing list, and I'm going to keep a TR spam folder as well to document his spam.
Thinks we absolutely must leave the European Union. We must deliver Brexit. That means we need to get a deal over the line. And that's why we've been looking for new ways, a new approach to find an agreement in Parliament. And that means cross-party talks. And when you...
Okay, so Pat, she went on to, first of all, this is Theresa May at the weekend, attempting to be much more conversational, speaking to the nation.
I like the shaky cam too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so authentic.
Right.
It was so edgy.
Right.
She's so down with the kids right now.
You're absolutely bang on, right? This is exactly what she was aiming to do here. But what's she talking about? She's talking about security. She's talking about cross-party. You were talking about a government for national unity in Libya. This is what's forming in the United Kingdom at the moment, because what she went on to talk about there was the point that Brexit is a cross-party issue. This is not a party political issue, it's a cross-party issue. And we've all got to come together and deal with these issues in a cross-party manner. This is the European model of governance. You look at Italy, for example. Germany, where you've got coalitions, cross-party coalitions. This is the future model of government.
Of course, it can go horribly wrong too. The coalitions, as we know.
I think Brexit is demonstrating how horribly wrong it can go. But you know, once again, Patrick, security absolutely at the top of her list. So let's just remind ourselves what she means by security when she's talking about that. Of course, she means defence. Because amongst other things, it's civilian law enforcement. This is government policy. It includes defence and includes things like cyber health. It's all-encompassing term.
Here's the manipulation. Pay attention.
But it absolutely includes defence. So I thought it was quite interesting that Chatham House last week pushed out this document: to preserve NATO, Britain must help reinvent it. And this is a fantastic document here. This is written by Hans Kudnani, who's a senior research fellow at Chatham House. He said, it often seems to be completely forgotten that NATO, which celebrates its 70th anniversary on the 4th of April, was a British initiative. Specifically, the idea came from Ernest Bevin, the Foreign Secretary in the radical Labour government of Clement
Waiting to be accepted.
Attlee. He said that Bevin had given a speech to the House of Commons in January 1948 in which he called for a Western Union. Well, of course, the Western Union that he had in mind wasn't NATO, an embryonic NATO at all. It was...
All these people that are so into like freedom of speech and all that, they seem to be like sort of offence themselves into like sort of a wee racist fucking can't get in clubs and this Telegraph thing, man. You know, like... You want to see what the cult of Tommy Robinson's all about? Go into that Telegraph thing, whatever it is, and you'll see.
An embryo.
Let's make up a fucking stupid email address to get the ball rolling.
EU Defence Union. And if you want to know a bit more of the history of that, then have a look at this article that I wrote on the UK Column website, Military Union, British Government Policy since 1948, and we show the documents that were written at the time, which formed the five-part treaty, which eventually became the Western Union. The Western Union became the Western European Union, which was a defence arrangement at European level. NATO was a parallel initiative, which came out of the same type of thinking, perhaps. But anyway, getting back to the Chatham House article here, he goes on to say that over the next 14 months, Bevin turned his vision into reality, a series of carefully calibrated steps. Though, of course, crucial element was the US security guarantee to Europe. It's doubtful whether it could have happened without Bevin's creativity and tenacity. He says that Britain once again needs to think as creatively as Bevin did about how it can shape European security. Security, remember, includes defence. And he goes on to say, it seems pretty clear that the only way the US security guarantee to Europe might be made sustainable in the long term is for Europeans to make a greater contribution to their own security. And as we've pointed out many times in this program, Patrick, that really began with Donald Trump's inauguration speech at the opening of the new NATO headquarters in Brussels, when he absolutely said that the Europeans have to step up and pay more, or else the US would not guarantee to support their security anymore. But the author ends by saying this: the UK is the only power that can take the lead in such a rebalanced NATO. Now, as the point that we've made many times, Pat, is that of course when they're talking about a rebalanced NATO, what they're talking about is bigger defence spending at the European level. This is all about European Defence Union within NATO, and the UK saying that European Defence Union fits within NATO, it's not going to duplicate structures and so on.
And again, a military union in the EU threatens Russia and America's dominance. And all this shit's wrapped up in that.
Ursula von der Leyen, the German defence minister, saying the same thing, and others, Mogherini and others, saying the same thing. It's very important that whatever structure ends up being, and it's pretty clear what that structure is going to be now with the 7 pillars of the European Defence Union, bilateral defence agreements on one end between countries, NATO on the other end, and all the various pillars of NATO Defence Union in between, including PESCO and CARD and all the other acronyms that they have. It's absolutely clear, and he is suggesting that the UK is the only power that can take the lead in such a rebalanced NATO. He is saying no matter what, the UK has to be part of European Defence Union structures. And that is the message from Chatham House. All the evidence that we have, Pat, as you know, is that that's exactly what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, look, we are going to leave it there for today. We're a little bit over time. Thank you very much for Thank you for joining us. We will be back at the same time, 1 p.m. as usual, on Wednesday. We will see you then. Bye-bye.
Right, so remember, thumbs it up, share it, friends, family, foes. Let's have a wee look at the Tommy Robinson Road Show. See if I can do this. Oh no, I fucking can't. God almighty, this is going to be a nightmare. Oh shit, what am I doing? Deny, deny, deny. Righty-ho. Oh, you know what? I've realised I've got the fucking autofocus in this camera off. Do 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 do. Configure video. Do 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 do. Apply that just now. Do 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 do. And see what you can do. There you go. Right, Tommy Robinson talk. And a lefty apology. He's ready to be indoctrinated. Look at Tommy Robinson's dial-up, ain't it superb? How the fuck do you make it make noise? Turn Bluetooth off.
I used to be their enforcer.
There we go.
My name is Trevor Phillips.
Oh. Well, sorry. Let's go down to the bottom and start again. Right, let's see, I'm sure I can all get this to operate like this. Need to get it in the middle so it focuses. Focus, you bastard. Man, this is great fun, innit? Don't know about yous, I'm loving this. Fuck's sake, you spend money on a camera that doesn't even fucking focus. Right, let's see. Oh, that's funny, actually. Oh, there's something about white people there. God. Why do white people own so many pets? Because we're not allowed to own people anymore. Let's have a wee look at Tommy Robinson talk. Oh God, what happened to the focus? Come on. Don't be racist. Be like Mario. He's an Italian plumber who was made by the Japanese, speaks English, looks like a Mexican, jumps like a black man, and grabs coin like a Jew. Oh. Right, what's this? What? How do we get back out of this? Jesus, Jones. This is great fun. There's a little frog. There's Active Patriot UK. That's one of the guys that was in last night who kicked me out this group. Read the Quran and you'll see Muhammad hated Africans. Fat soy boy wanker. Ah! Islam is an Arab supremacist religion which uses others non-white races as tools to attack us. See the same old shit, what race Islam is? God, this isn't going down great. Just wanted to give you a wee flavour of what's going down. And there's other smaller, more groups that you need to go and get special permissions and all that to get in. So I'm going to see if I can get into some of them maybe at some point. For journalistic reasons, obviously. I'm a journalist, don't you know? Anyway, so fun and games. Go and get yourself tuned into that stuff. Have a wee look what's going down in the town over there. Let's see. What did the white guy go to the black guy's yard sale? Oh God, look. There we go. Why did the white guy go to the black guy's yard sale? To get his stuff back. Oh, there's Kate Wade reporting from Danny Tomo. I want to buy Muhammad's Quran by Tommy. Where can I get a hold of it? Selling books. See, just people in there spamming selling fucking Tommy's book. Now that Google stopped selling it, he deplatformed them. And that's equivalent to book burning, apparently. What's the flattest surface to iron on? Earth. Danny and Tom will need an OBE. They're going to try and do a Danny. I don't know if it was real or no, but earlier when I first joined, they were talking about doing a Tommy Robinson Appreciation Day this summer. I was like, no way, man! It's the funniest shit ever. Oh, lordy, lordy. What do you call a black guy with millions of white friends? Mr. President. Talking about Obama or something? I don't know. I'm assuming that must be some sort of dig at Obama. I don't quite get it. But here's the wee... Look at the state of that. Man's got his sweat on. Tommy Robinson literally is sweating, people. He is sweating. Anywho, you can go and do that on your own time. Thanks for chilling out this afternoon. I thought I would do a wee live UK column broadcast. I did not know that they weren't doing it every day now. That's why it happened. Wait, it happened. Tune in tonight for Not the Infowars Nightly News. You shut up, you. Hi everybody in the chat, thanks for everybody joining. Mick Vicker, how you doing, my man? Apple Charlotte in the afternoon, guys and girls. There's Andy. There's Kat, how you doing? Cheech, Andy. The British Reactor, how you doing, buddy? The Cheech, Alan, Andy, Kat, Charlotte. In the evening, guys and girls. Punk on Whiskey, thank you very much, Punk on Whiskey. Thanks for joining. Hope you're keeping well, and I must have refreshed it or something. That's all the chat that's given me right now. But thanks to everybody that joined in. Make sure you join in. Try and tune in tonight at 8 o'clock for Not the Infowars Nightly News, the original alternative look at the alternative media. Skeptical about the so-called guys in the spectacles, skeptics. And watch the motherfucking Watchmen, because somebody's got to do it. Alrighty, boob tubes. Thanks for listening. Catch yous.
Cips clips.
And goddamn.